It is a question most of us will be answering in the coming weeks with a simple yes or no, but the question is anything but simple, where your yes actually means no. It is the HST referendum. Tonight we begin a series of reports looking at both sides of the debate. We begin with the yes side. Voting yes is a nod towards extinguishing the HST and returning to the PST-GST system.
Also, just got hired for
Andrew Caban says his last year at university cost him more thanks to the HST.
It's little things like going to restaurants and pubs and even buying groceries and things like that. They're a little bit more expensive due to the extra tax from the HST, and that was a bit prohibitive.
The 12% tax replaced the GST and PST last July.
Certainly as a student with not a lot of money, I don't appreciate having to spend extra money on taxes for that stuff.
And some families feel the same way. They say they're paying more now for everyday items.
I find this extra tax just even shopping. Like for children's clothes, you only had the one tax, and now it's more tax for that.
Even just with the prices of, going to restaurants and things like that, just for myself and my kids, it's pretty ridiculous.
It's still, that HST did hurt a little bit, especially initially.
Voting yes to extinguish the HST is something many people say they'll do just out of principle.
There wasn't a lot of debate before it just all of a sudden was on our plate. So
Finance Minister Kevin Falcon says whatever the people decide, his government will listen.
And I have great confidence in the public that they will make the right decision ultimately, whatever it is, and that we as a government will adhere and obey whatever it is they decide.
Despite many surveys, it's hard to gauge just how people will really vote.
I've been opposed to it all the way along, but I've just sent my ballot back in to say, yes, we can keep it.
A recent Ipsos Reid poll showed that 54% of the population was in favor of axing the tax, which, if it is approved over the next couple of years, would be dropped from 12 to 10%. But for this star basketball player and a recent graduate who is now job hunting, that's not good enough. Caban is not convinced the HST will be the slam dunk for the economy the province hopes it will be.
I find it very difficult to make my transition into the professional market right now. Perhaps it'll be a long-term thing with the HST, with job creation, but right now I'm not really seeing any benefits from the HST.
Voters have until August 5th to return their ballots to Elections BC. In Victoria, Astrid Brownschmidt, A News.
The Greater Victoria Chamber of Commerce has come out on the no side of the HST referendum. The Chamber says the HST is a better, more effective tax system than the previous PST-GST model. And the owner of a local construction company agrees.
We gave our employees raises.
Bill Downs says the harmonized sales tax is good for his business. Under the previous system, he was paying 7% PST and 5% GST on equipment to run his construction company.
We would get the 5% GST returned back to us from the government. Under the HST, we get the entire 12% back.
Downs says now he's saving 7% on purchases, money he chose to give back to his employees. He also says the HST is easier to administer. Talking about the HST with Sasha Angus. The Greater Victoria Chamber of Commerce says before the HST was implemented, some businesses had employees working full-time to make sure each project was PST compliant. Speaking on CFAX 1070 radio, Sasha Angus said he sees the HST as removing embedded tax from the system.
Basically makes a better, more effective tax system for the business community, small and large businesses. It creates an investment climate, quite frankly, that's a lot more attractive for our local businesses here.
It's a great thing for the film industry.
Greater Victoria's Film Commissioner says before the HST, only the 5% GST was refundable to producers. Now they can claim 12%.
It used to be that producers looked for locations, and that's where they decided to make their film. Well, now it's a whole different world out there, and they're looking at the bottom line. First concern are tax incentives. Our second is crew, and third are locations. So we have great locations here. We have incredibly talented crews. We just really need to stay competitive in terms of our tax incentives and tax rebates, and the HST helps us do that.
For me, it's about making sure that the public is making an informed decision. That's the most important thing in my mind, that the public at least has the ability to vote, understand what they're voting for.
Both the no and yes campaigns are working hard to get information out ahead of the upcoming HST referendum. If you want to keep the tax, vote no, or to scrap it, vote yes.